Hi, I'm Will Howard, and we're at the 100th anniversary, the centennial of Easton Utilities Company in Easton, Maryland. It's a great show, and we're going to go around and talk to some of the people about some of the equipment that's here today. We are with Denny Clow, and Denny, you've been here for 41 years.
Yes, I have.
Good for you. That's terrific. Now, can you take us back to some of this equipment as we zoom in on it here?
Yes. This is an old kilowatt hour chart and whatnot. Came off a 2400 volt switch gear. It's after we dismantled the gear, I just kept parts and pieces.
Yeah, I recognize this part from my meter.
Yep. And
but not this part.
And it's recording chart, yes.
So, how old would this be?
This is about 1920, somewhere in that area. This is what's called a sync scope. When you go to bring a generator online, you have to match the buses up, the bus and the generator voltages up. And what this does is, as the generator is running, you'll see it's running fast or slow. What happens then is, as it comes up to 12 o'clock, that means that all the phases have lined up. Then the breaker can be safely closed.
And then how about these light bulbs
Okay,
here?
what happens with these is, what it's doing is, it's looking at the generator voltage and the bus voltage. What happens as this hand goes down and it goes out of phase, those lights get real bright because they're out of phase. It's kind of just a visual indication you're not in phase. And then as it comes back up and around, you'll see the lights go out.
I'm not sure I'm bright enough to know what out of phase means.
On the generators and their bus, we have three phases, basically A, B, and C.
Okay.
And what you got to do is you get all three phases lined up. If you try to put it out of phase, you'll have a dead short.
Wow. Okay, and then how about
these two are just test meters. This is a milliamp meter. It's an old Weston #1.
And how old are these?
They back actually probably the 1890s to 1900.
So they would hook up wires here to this, and that's how it worked?
Yes, and this is for test purposes. This is an old, same thing, Weston #1, but this is a voltmeter. This is an old...
Pick it up so we can see it.
Ever Ready, a little amp meter for testing.
Ever Ready, like the batteries?
Like the battery. It dates 1910.
Yes, it's got to get the same kind of logo on it.
Mm-hmm. This is just one of our old AC amp meters we took off. Again, it dates back about 1911, and it had marks on it to show you where the normal generation was, or if you went to an overload. So it was just marked with a little bit of tape just to show you what was going on. This one was a feeder for the feeders. This was generation, this was actual feeder, and basically it ran across this way.
A feeder to describe?
Going to a customer.
Okay.
Leaving the power plant, goes out to the customers.
Now, how many customers did you have back in these days?
I'd have no idea.
Probably just, we'll find out later on.
Yep. This is a kind of interesting thing. On our old 2400 volt system, it's called a delta system, which means it doesn't have a ground reference.
Show the camera.
Okay. And if you can see it, you can watch the eyeball move. When there's no grounds on the system, the eyeball would be in the center. But what happens when you got a short, it would pull it to the direction the short was. So you know you had a problem on the system.
Well, you didn't deal with this stuff.
Oh yeah, I was still in service when I started.
Is that right?
Yes.
All right, so 1941, that would be what year?
60? No, 70, about 72, 73.
And that was in service?
Yes.
Wow. Okay,
yes.
What is this thing here?
Okay, this is a safety stool. Basically, it's rated for 10,000 volts, and you stand on it to work on something high voltage safely.
Well, what is this made out of?
It's rubber, plus it's got the rubber feet and everything.
Oh, rubber feet. Okay.
So.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that.
This is a voltage regulator for one of our generators and whatnot. And basically, it's exactly that. What it does, when you set the generator for a particular voltage, in this case 2300, then what it would do is it would keep the generator at 2300 volts.
So you would open the door and turn the knob there? Let's show the camera here. This thing weighs about 50 pounds.
Oh, it's heavy, yeah.
Okay, so you'd reach in there.
Well, actually, you had adjustments you'd make, but what it would do as the generator came online, it would slowly pull this.
We got one camera.
And then it would rock the contacts on either side.
Cool.
So, but it was still in operation when we took it out.
I'm glad you saved all this stuff.
Now, down at the end down here is a modern day equipment. This is what's called a Basler 1051. And this device actually will replace 47 devices.
No kidding.
Yeah, you wire one device, and you've got, instead of having to do all these multiple different things.
And it weighs about 2 pounds.
It's nothing. It's all computerized. You plug a laptop into it.
So you know how to fix this stuff?
Oh yeah. Well, we wire. I mean, as far as that, if something goes wrong, again, you keep the program for this particular one on the laptop. If it goes bad, you plug a spare in, download the program to it, and replace the relay. So it's
amazing. Amazing.
Yes.
This is Alan Blessing, and how many years have you been here?
I've got 27 years here at Easton Utilities, and it's been a great place to work.
And you're in charge of the gas department?
I'm in the gas division, yes.
Okay, tell us what this thing is.
This is an old bell prover. It's what we used to test the gas meters with to check the accuracy on the meters.
It's a what?
A gas prover.
Gas prover.
Yes. What it does is you test the accuracy of the meter to make sure the meters are accurate. What we would do is stick a meter under here, and we would take and raise the bell up to 0 on the bell, and then we would open this valve up like it is now, and then once this gets down to 2 on the
so we're talking about this meter right here.
Yep, on this bar there's a 2 on this bar. See how you got a 4?
Yeah.
And once you get to the 2, that would tell us the meter was accurate. And then we would take and write the results down, and then we would put the meter back out in the field. So this here was all painted red.
And tell me what describes this stuff.
This here is to check the oil temperature and make sure the temperature and the oil and the room temperature and the meter temperature all is the same, because they have to be accurate, the same temperature for it to operate properly. But what we would do was take and pull this up like this, and then we would let it go down, and that was, like I said, it showed the accuracy of the meter. So you'd test the meters and then take them out to the houses, yep,
right?
Put them out in the field, make them that way. Public Service Commission used to require us to test our gas meters every 14 years, and so we used to have to test a lot of meters. When I first come here, we were testing about 100 meters, and up until about 10 years ago, we were almost at 300 meters we were testing a year. Wow. Now we're going to a thing called ISP system testing, which we're in the whole state of Maryland, so we only wind up testing about 15 to 20 meters a year of air meters now, because we're in such a large group of meters to be tested.
What's the age of this? What year would this have been operating?
It operated up until 2001.
No kidding.
Yeah, we actually used it up until 2001.
But it looks like it's 100 years old.
Well, if you not believe it, this whole barrel and all this here was all red, just like this, up until 2 weeks ago. I took and scraped all the paint off of it and cleaned it up and made it look like what it does today.
So is it 100 years old?
It's probably somewhere like that.
Wow. I'm so glad you kept it.
Yeah, and I told my boss, I said, we need to put it in the foyer there.
Oh yeah, it'd be great. Take us over to the gas meters over here. Okay, describe all this equipment to me. It looks more modern than that.
Right. This meter here is, from what I'm understanding, is a very rare meter, because it's got the glass front on it, a very ornate diaphragm and metal work and everything in it. It's a lead meter, and what it did, all the gas companies that we've had come down, show us the meters and everything, they say they've never seen a meter look like this.
Lean it over so the camera can look in here too. Okay, tell me about this one.
All right, what this meter is a coin-operated gas meter. When the customer wanted gas, he would take and put a coin in here, and then drop it down, and the gas would automatically start going in. And once that gas was used up, it measures so much gas. And once that gas was done, then you would have to put another coin in and get more gas.
So that looks like a quarter slot.
Quarter or nickel or whatever it was.
So what year was this?
I really don't know. It was probably in the early 30s, maybe 40s, something like that.
So somebody had to run out their house in the middle of the night.
Actually, these meters used to be in the houses.
Oh, inside the house?
Yeah, a lot of gas meters, when I first come here, a lot of the gas meters were still in the houses, and now we've taken them outside and all that.
So they drop a quarter in there, and how much heat would they get for that?
That was before my time. I don't know, but
a quarter doesn't buy much gas these days.
Not no more. No. But this is a really neat meter too. We've only had these 2 meters since I've been here. Ever since I've been here, we've had these 2 meters sitting in the shelf inside.
I'm so glad you saved this stuff. All right, what we got here?
All right, what we got here is a regular household-looking meter. This here would be your line coming in, the gas pressure coming in. This is your shut-off valve here. That way, we can turn the gas off and lock it and all that. This is a gas regulator. This has got like maybe 60 pounds coming into from the street. This here breaks it down to like inches of water column, 1/4 pound pressure. Then it goes into your meter, and it goes in, and then it comes back out this way and goes into your house. This is a typical meter set on most houses nowadays.
Okay, now let's suppose that somebody's cooking dinner and they catch the house on fire and the house is burning down. What does this thing automatically cut off?
No, what the fire department does, they'll come out and turn this valve here off. It's a quarter turn valve. And you turn it crossways, and that's how we turn the gas off to the house.
A brave fireman.
Well, I've done it too.
You have? Are you a fireman too?
Yes. Yep. But this here is basically, we have a lot of people say when they get a smell gas call or their meter's making a noise, 9/10 of the time when they say their meters are making a noise, it's the regulator singing. What it does is when that gas is going through your meter, this meter regulator creates a little bit of a noise. And a lot of people don't realize that, so, and then we go out there and we explain to them what that is. So.
Okay, well, how about these next items right here?
Okay. This meter here is just a meter that we've cut apart, so you can actually see inside the meter, the diaphragms.
Yeah. Cool.
And what this does is you turn this here tangent in here, and you can see the bellows moving in and out.
Yeah, let's show that to the camera.
Okay. You can see the bellows turning and going in and out. That's the gas going into the house.
And this is contemporary. This is today. That's doing that?
Yep. That's what's in this meter right here.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Yep. So we were actually going to try to have it hooked up so it would pass gas, and run air through it, but it wouldn't work. So we did it like this.
So how often do you have to replace this rubber?
Most of the time we don't. If the meter stops, we'll just take it and send it out, get it check the test and everything. If it doesn't pass the test, then we jump the meters. What we got here is a brand new meter. It's a sonic meter, a sonic gas meter.
What does sonic mean?
It's like the ultrasonic, like airplanes, how the speed of sound.
Yeah.
That's what the gas goes through, and it goes through a little tube inside here, and it hits a mirror. And when it goes through that mirror,
a mirror.
Yes, sir. And then it comes over here and hits the mirror on this side. And what it does, it goes through so fast that it picks up it's just like sonic, airplane speed of air and everything. And that's how it picks it up. It just calculates it inside here.
So, and there's no moving parts in here?
There's no moving parts in this meter at all.
We're with Jamie Whitby with the water department at Easton Utilities, and this is the first.
Correct. It's the first standpipe for the water storage tank for Easton. At the time, it was Easton Water Works.
And what's the date of this?
1886.
1886?
Yes.
And here's a photograph of it today.
So make sure you check them out.
It's the oldest one in the country.
The oldest one in the country?
Yes.
Now, it's of course it's still standing.
Still standing.
You've taken down the other big ones.
Right. It's disconnected from the system. It's stored with half water to keep it stable. And it's pretty much we have to keep it up and maintain it for our history.
Well, it's neat. How many gallons did it hold?
It 84,000 gallons.
84,000 gallons.
And the one we have now we got two 1 million gallon tanks.
We're with Hugh Grundon, who is president and CEO of Easton Utilities. Happy birthday.
Well, thank you, Will.
100 years.
100 years. And it has been a very interesting 100 years.
Now, we could talk a long time about history, but let's just talk about your celebration that's going on right now.
Great. Well, there's very few enterprises that reach the century mark.
You're right.
So we thought it was entirely appropriate to have an open house and invite the community in to see what we do, some of our equipment, and meet a whole lot of our people who are working here today.
That's for sure. How many employees do you have total?
We have 131 employees.
That seems like a small amount for all that you have to do.
That number is not dissimilar to what we had 25 years ago.
No kidding.
And we've deployed a lot of technologies, as most businesses have, to reduce the number of people that are needed. But it's a fairly small group, a thin bench, if you will, but a very committed group of people.
Well, you have so many different tasks. Go through them with me.
We do. Well, as you know, we operate the electric, natural gas, water, wastewater, cable, internet, and phone business.
Okay, so the electric was first.
No, actually, when Martin Higgins had the commission established in 1914 through an act of the legislature, the focus then was the water business. And they bought the Easton Water business, and in 1915, they purchased the private electric plant because the service was just so terrible. And Martin Higgins said that is not, the citizens are not going to tolerate that level of service. And he endeavored to just do it himself.
That's great. Now, I remember the old gas plant downtown, so that started it.
That was there, and that was purchased at a later time by the Easton Utilities Commission after it's formulated, and it was subsequently converted to propane and then on to natural gas.
And the electric plant was right here, correct?
Indeed, what you see behind us is the first segment of the electric plant, and that was the part that was privately held.
And that was like way out in the country.
It was.
Talbot Town is behind us.
Indeed.
But this was like farmland out here, wasn't it?
This is built on the outskirts of town, and you can see what's happened in the intervening period.
We sure can. We sure can. Well, that's terrific, and we're delighted that you put this big show on, and a lot of people are having a great time here.
Delighted to have you join us.
Well, great, super. Well, thanks so much.
Take care, Will.
We're with David North, and David, you're a commissioner here at Easton Utilities.
Very happy commissioner, have been for about 8 years.
And you're also an antique car expert.
Well, I don't know about the expert, but I certainly have been around them for most of my life.
You sure have. Tell us about this car here.
What we're doing today is, because we produce electricity, we thought we would demonstrate the difference between a modern electric car and a car of 100 years ago. And this is as close as we could get. This is a 1916 Roush & Lang electric car. It is all electric.
Really?
Made in Cleveland, Ohio.
Wow, I didn't know there was such a thing.
It uses 15 6-volt golf cart batteries for power. They were designed originally for ladies to drive in the cities. They're very easy, they're quiet, there's lots of visibility. There's no steering wheel. It uses a tiller like a boat.
That is so cool. So how many miles would this go?
This will go about 30 miles on a charge, compared to the 38 miles on a charge that the Volt will go, the 2014. So in 100 years, we've only gone 8 miles further.
Well, that's amazing. Let's kind of get a tour. So the batteries are in the back, right?
We have batteries in the back and we have batteries in the front.
Can you lift up the hood? The bonnet, as they say? Now, these are modern batteries.
These are modern batteries, each 6 volts, and they're all tied in series as opposed to parallel series to make 90 volts.
And of course, it wouldn't make any noise, as you say.
It's silent. It's silent going forward, silent going backwards.
And then how many of these were there made?
Just a few hundred. Just a few hundred.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's now compare that with this Volt.
The Volt, this is the Chevrolet 2014 Volt. Curiously, both cars are capable of handling 5 passengers, 100 years different. This car weighs about almost 3,800 pounds. The Roush & Lang weighs about 3,500 pounds. So this is only about 300 pounds more.
That's amazing, the similarity in 100 years.
Yeah, very similar. You know, basics are basics.
Now, is this gas and electric, or is this strictly?
This is a hybrid, so this has gas and it can drive on gasoline, and the gasoline engine can also act as a generator to promote the length of distance for the electric batteries. But if they're used solely electric, 38 miles is about.
And this is the charging station here.
This is the charging station, Will. That is the charging station of the future. It looks like a gas nozzle.
Yeah, it does.
And it would go, rather than in the back where the gas goes, it goes ahead of the driver's door.
And you say this would go 38 miles
on a charge.
On a charge. And then how long would it take to charge in this particular here?
You know, there are short charges and long charges. I think the recommendation is a long charge, which I would say is overnight. A short charge is a couple of hours.
A couple of hours. So if this were hooked up to Easton Utilities here, somebody would have to park here for 2 hours.
A couple hours.
So they'd go over and maybe have a long lunch.
They can have a long lunch. Now, can I show you a charging system of 100 years ago?
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
Okay, we're over here.
Okay.
This is the equivalent charging station of 100 years ago, where they took 220 household volts and drove this monster electric generator to charge 6 volts of direct current. Each one of these batteries, which by the way, each one of these is about 100 years old. They were glass originally.
I can see the glass here, yeah.
2 volt, 2 volt, 2 volts makes 6. So 100 years ago, it took this big machine to charge those batteries.
How long?
Overnight.
Okay.
Overnight. Now, as time progressed, the batteries got more efficient and got smaller in size. So you take the same 6 volts, 246, and now you have 246 here. This is a battery that was designed about 75 years ago.
Wow.
And is still a current model. It's used in tractors and industrial applications. Today's very super slick, small, tight, tidy battery is this tiny one, which is about half the size of this. All of these are lead acid. This is lead acid also, but there's no liquid. It's in a glass mat. So if it turns over, it doesn't spill. So this little battery does the equivalent of that, does the equivalent of that. And today, you will use a tiny little charger like this that you plug in the wall to replace this.
That's amazing. That's
Isn't it
amazing.
terrific?
Now that's the horn we're hearing behind
That's the horn of the Roush & Lang electric car.
Well, they had to use horns probably because nobody could hear them coming.
Well, you can't hear them coming, and in those days there were very few stoplights.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when you came to an intersection, you had to announce yourself.
Well, good afternoon. It gives me great pleasure to be joined by a friend of Easton Utilities, Comptroller Peter Franchel. Mr. Comptroller's been a very strong supporter of ours for a number of years. Most recently, I saw him speaking with Rudolph over the Christmas break, so I think he enjoyed that as well. But certainly has been a good friend of Easton Utilities. Without further ado, I'll turn it over.
Hugh, thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here with, gee, I see the Oriole bird over there. Stayed up late last night and watched the O's win, so it's good to see the bird here also. And I'm delighted to be here with Hugh Grundon and Jeff Oxnam. Tim Wyman, the chairman of the board, who's standing over there. Tim, come on up here, because I just want to salute the employees, wonderful men and women work for Easton Utilities, and thank them for their customer service. Thank them for just being a great member of this community, showing that government can work in public partnership with companies and deliver what customers and clients need, which is just plain good old-fashioned common sense and good customer service. I'm delighted to salute you on 100 years of existence. I hope there's another 100 years coming up of innovation, technology, service to the community. I'd like to present this certificate on behalf of the state of Maryland to the Easton Utilities Commission in celebration of your centennial anniversary, Hugh, marking 100 years of providing reliable and affordable service to Easton and the surrounding community, with special appreciation for your commitment to your clients as well as your civic engagement. Best wishes for a successful second century, presented this 10th day of May 2014. Congratulations.
We are with Easton Fire Chief Sonny Jones. This is a magnificent piece of equipment. Is this brand new?
It is brand new. We're very proud of it.
So it's a 2014.
Yes, sir.
Now, how tall, how far up does that go?
100 feet.
100 feet. Now, the tallest building in Talbot County is like 50 feet. Is that right?
Approximately, yes.
The Tidewater Inn.
Yep, that and some parts of the community center are tall.
Well, it's a wonderful piece of equipment. And did you trade in the old one?
We're going to sell the old one. It's actually, the vehicles are owned by the town, so the town will have to sell it.
And what will you get for it, and what did you pay for this?
The old ladder truck is approximately 24 years old, and we're hoping to get its market value, which is anywhere between $75,000 and $125,000. That being said, the new ladder truck is $1.2 million.
Yeah, but it's got so much more technology than the other one did.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
Okay, and tell me about what we got here, and then we're going to work our way up to the front. Maybe we'll hop inside.
Sure, absolutely. This is what we call an aerial tower, and basically it can perform the functions of a normal ladder truck, to rescue people, to elevate a water stream, to put fires out in taller buildings. It also has the capabilities of having personnel inside the bucket, which you see at the very top of the ladder, that can control the operations of the ladder, can make rescues, can direct water streams into windows or through the roofs of buildings.
And you couldn't do that on the old one?
We can do that on the old one, but this one just has the capability of doing it better, more better, safer, with more personnel.
Does this carry any water?
It does. It has approximately 150 gallons of water just to prime the waterway. Its function would be to set up with a supply hose from another fire engine or from a fire hydrant. The pump would then boost the pressure up the ladder and then out the nozzle.
Well, you have a truck that's just filled with water. How much water is that?
We have several. Our tanker truck is a tractor-trailer, tractor-drawn tank truck, and it carries 6,000 gallons of water. We use that when we have fires outside of a hydranted area.
How much time would that give you on a full high-pressure hose?
It depends on how much water you're flowing. If we have a major building fire that's not in a hydranted area, we could flow 1,000 gallons of water a minute. So that tank truck would last us 6 minutes, and then we'd have to look for another source of water.
Amazing. Let's go up and check out the front here. So it carries how many firemen?
6 firefighters.
Well, this is incredible. I feel like I'm in a really super high-tech airplane or something here.
It's almost like the cockpit of an airplane anymore.
It really is.
A lot of technology involved.
Tell us what you got here.
Well, this is basically the heart of the operations center of the fire truck. This is where the driver, we call engineer, sits. He or she is responsible for not only safely driving the fire truck to an emergency scene, but also the operation of the ladders, the stabilizing jacks, to make sure basically the overall operation of the truck is done properly. They have everything at their controls here to safely operate the fire truck and get it to the scene. Once they're at the scene, they have the ability then to go out and operate the controls that operate the stabilization jacks and the ladders. One of the unique features we have here, this camera I have here in front of me, in older fire apparatus on tight streets where vehicles are parked very closely together, you had to kind of eyeball where your stabilization jacks would go because they come out several feet on either side of the truck to stabilize the truck when the ladder's raised. You had to kind of eyeball that before. You didn't have a real good marker, and sometimes you would have to make several attempts to get it in between parked cars. The camera system we have here is actually on the outside of the truck, and it's at a set angle, so we can actually look on the screen and see exactly where those outriggers, those stabilization jacks, will go right from the cab of the truck without having to reposition. It saves a lot of time, especially if there's a rescue or a serious fire involved. So we can see right where they'll go right here from the cab of the truck.
Do you drive this?
I do not. Being the chief, I'm responsible for the overall operation of the incident, but we have literally dozens of firefighters that are trained to operate all of our apparatus. And the way we do it is, if you're trained as a driver for one particular fire truck, you're trained to drive all of them, because we're not sure what will be responding at any time. So,
is it easy to drive?
It takes a lot of practice.
Where do you practice?
We have training all the time. We practice driving through the streets of the town and the county. We practice hooking up to fire hydrants. We practice drafting water when there's no fire hydrants available. We have to take water either out of things like swimming pools or out of the creeks or streams. Practice doing that. Practice pumping the fire trucks. A lot of our fire apparatus carry foam, which mixes with the water, and there's certain controls that you have to know how to operate to proportion the foam for things like gasoline fires, or if we have flammable liquids or things that we have to smother with a blanket of foam, so we have that capability. Also, with this fire truck, the unique thing about it is you not only have to be able to be trained in its operation and its pumping as we do with regular fire trucks, but you have to know about the ladder system as well. So you really have to be proficient in a lot of things. When we took delivery of this new ladder truck, we went through literally hundreds of hours of training with all of our personnel, with factory representatives, and then they kind of train some of our people, a train-the-trainer sort of situation, and then they've put on day after day after day of schools to make sure that all of our engineers are proficient with its operation.
Well, it really is neat, and I noticed that even that all of the seats, except for your seat, have a compartment for the breathing apparatus.
Yes, yeah, and this thing has the utmost in safety features. It's top of the line. Those brackets you're talking about allow the breathing apparatus to be positioned so the firefighter can put them on as they're responding to the fire, even while they're wearing a seatbelt. And the brackets hold them in place so heaven forbid there was ever a collision, they wouldn't be able to come out of the bracket. They would stay in there safely. Yet the firefighter can press a lever and they can literally sit forward and take the breathing apparatus with them.
Well, it's neat, and thank you and all your volunteers. It's wonderful to have this kind of equipment in the town of Easton.
Well, we're definitely proud to serve everybody.
Wire secondary, which is what you see there in between the middle two poles, with a ladder or any kind of metallic object, a long antenna. You want to make sure that you keep any metallic objects, ladders, away from those secondaries. Even though they contain low voltage, it still could be quite dangerous if you were to make contact with it. You'll see those sparks there. In this demonstration, you can cause a fire, you can get burned, or you can get electrocuted from that. So it's just something to be aware of. Keep metallic objects away from there. Next thing we're going to show you is above the open wire secondary. We've got our primary voltage. In this case, this trailer is energized to 7,200 volts to ground. If you were to even get near, or a metallic object even is near that overhead primary, it can draw an arc. You can see the fire coming off of that.
Whoa.
Another thing we want to remind people, many people think that wood is an insulator, and in some cases it is, but especially at high voltage it'll still conduct current and conduct electricity. We're going to remove the fuse, cut out the door there, and just take a branch from a tree and put in between there and kind of demonstrate that current will flow through that piece of wood and light those lights up on the meter. The last thing we want to do is kind of show you the dangers of what can happen if you do make contact with the primary voltage. We have a hot dog here, and that kind of has a similar consistency to the human body. It contains a lot of water, and this can give you a pretty good idea of what it would be like to be burned off of this high voltage. So you can imagine you wouldn't want that to be your finger, that's for sure.
This is Will Howard in the old 100-year-old electric car at the Easton Utilities plant for their centennial, signing off.